You return home with snow in your hair and clarity in your chest. The manor welcomes you like it missed you, doors swinging gently, hearth lit as if no one ever left. The villagers leave a basket of plum pastries and a card that says, "Glad you didn't turn into an ice tyrant. Love, Edith." Reginald finds a lady hedgehog waiting in the pantry and immediately enters a courtship ritual that involves presenting her with a blueberry. You do not interfere. Some stories must unfold without narration. Alarix sheds his travel cloak and mutters something about burning every pair of formal shoes you own. You sit at the kitchen table and do something rare. You write a letter. Not to anyone alive, not really. You write it to yourself, to the girl who thought she had to earn every kindness, to the queen who stood too long in the snow, to the version of you that once chose silence because it hurt less than hope. You write, "We made it." Not to the end, but to a place that feels like breath. We're still learning how to stay, but we want to, and that's everything. Then you burn it, because some words are meant to warm, not wait. Autumn dips toward winter, and with it comes something unexpected. Quiet days. Not dramatic, not cursed, not pulled from the jaws of fate. Just simple. You bake bread with too much cinnamon. Alaric carves nonsense shapes into pumpkins. You teach a girl from the village how to charm spiders out of her root cellar with lullabies. They prefer waltzes, actually. You kiss in the garden and don't check for spies. You dance in the hallway and forget to stop when the music does. You start to believe. Not in fairy tales, but in rest. Then, one morning, you wake to find that the door in the garden wall has vanished. No arch, no ivy, just stone. You stare at it for a long time, then smile. Maybe that path was always meant to close, because this time, you didn't leave anything behind. There's a festival of lanterns in the village. Everyone's supposed to write a truth on a slip of paper, tie it to a lantern, and let it rise. You stand among the crowd, fingers cold around the string. Your lantern bears 5 words. I don't want to run. When it lifts into the sky, the wind almost takes your breath, but not your footing. At home, Alaric has transformed the parlor into what he calls a museum of things that never mattered until you. There's the pine cone you once threw at a bandit, a broken comb from your first week together, the scarf that whispers compliments, which now seems to have fallen in love with Reginald. You add something new, a small piece of ice from Evermere, long since melted, kept in a sealed vial. You label it, "The crown I didn't need." He adds, "Also, the Frost Queen was weirdly hot." You swat him. He grins. That night, curled together in the window seat, you ask a question that's been lingering. Do you think we'll get old here? Alaric considers, then shrugs. If we do, I hope I still laugh like an idiot when you trip over your own shoes. He laughs softly. But what if something comes? What if the curse wakes? He kisses your forehead. Then we'll meet it at the door, together, with soup and mild sarcasm. You nod and realize you're not asking because you're afraid. You're asking because you care, because you want to stay alive long enough to grow roots, to be someone's old story whispered by firelight, to be yours. That winter, the first snow falls on your birthday. You wake to find Alaric has turned the entire library into a snow fort. There are blankets, candles, hot chocolate with suspicious amounts of brandy. There's also a note. To the girl who finally stayed, happy rebirthday. You find him inside, buried in pillows, pretending to be asleep. You kiss his cheek, and he whispers, "So, any plans for our next 100 years?" You smile and say, "Just one." Then curl into him and whisper your dream. A cottage by the river, books on every shelf, a garden that never asks for perfection, a quiet, unremarkable kind of magic that grows every day you choose to stay. And love. Love that doesn't ask for a crown, just company. And now, the manor sleeps. The last candle flickers low. The snow hums its soft lullaby against the window pane, and the world outside has gone still, wrapped in velvet silence. You lie in bed, your hand resting over Alaric's heart. It beats slow and steady, like the rhythm of home. You think of everything you've lost, and everything you've gained, and how sometimes the deepest magic is simply surviving long enough to fall in love with your own breath again. You close your eyes, not in fear, but in faith, that tomorrow will come and it will be gentle, that no door needs to appear for you to believe you're where you belong, that maybe the curse was never in the blood or the name, but in the belief that you had to suffer to be worthy. Now, you know better. You are worthy of softness, of ease, of mornings that don't demand anything but presence. The fire crackles, a breeze flutters the curtains, and far off the stars keep watch, silent, eternal, content to witness your quiet joy. You are not running. You are not rewriting. You are resting. And maybe that's the most radical love story of all. Good night, wanderer. Sleep deeply and wake gently into a world you chose. Hey guys, tonight we awaken beneath a cracked stone arch, moonlight on our skin, dew soaking the hem of a dress we don't remember putting on. There's music in the wind, soft and sad, and a man standing over us like he's seen this moment before. Maybe he has. Maybe you have. And no, stabbing that prince wasn't exactly in the plan. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And I'd love to know, where and when are you listening from? Drop it in the comments below. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You open your eyes to candlelight flickering in the rain-damp gloom. Stone above, a cracked ceiling painted once, now faded into muddled stars and swirls. Someone's humming. The tune is old, broken in the middle like a lullaby half remembered. Your fingers move before your thoughts do. They're slick with moss and blood. Not yours, at least you hope not. The hum stops. You freeze. Then, boots. A slow, deliberate step over gravel. A sigh, masculine, tired, and laced with something else. Something sad. Finally, the voice murmurs. I thought maybe the curse had taken you back before I could say hello. You sit up too fast. The world spins. He's tall, broad-shouldered, dark hair loose around a weather-worn face, and eyes, gray-blue like lake water just before a storm. You don't know him, but your heart skips, like it does, like it always has. Who are you? You ask, throat dry. He crouches beside you, one hand resting on the hilt of a sword that looks older than you feel. Alaric, he says softly, once your husband, once your executioner, depending how far back we're counting. Okay, not the welcome you were expecting. You scramble to your feet, or try. The hem of your gown snags on a root. He doesn't reach to help, just watches. You remember nothing? He asks. Not the tower, not the peach tree. You blink. There is a tree in my head. White blossoms, a warm breeze, someone holding my face, whispering something like goodbye. But it's smoke, too soft to grab. I don't know what you're talking about. Where even am I? Alaric straightens, sheath scraping stone. A chapel in the Vale of Veer, burned in the war, used for rites. You narrow your eyes. What kind of rites? He pauses. Rebirth, usually involuntary. Lovely. You brush moss from your arms. There's a velvet ribbon tied around your wrist. Wine red with gold thread stitched in looping cursive. Guinevere. You stare at the name. It fits, but only barely, like a gown you once outgrew. Is that me? You ask. Alaric nods once. Yes, this time, yes. This time. You want to argue, but you're shivering suddenly. Maybe it's the night air or the realization you might have been dead until very recently. He shrugs off his cloak, drapes it around your shoulders without ceremony. It smells like ash and pine and leather, too familiar for comfort. I can take you somewhere safe. The manor still stands, he says. You hesitate. Why would I trust you? Because you always do, even when you shouldn't. He turns, walking back through the arch. The moonlight hits his sword hilt, etched with a crest, two intertwined snakes and a rose. It flickers something again, that odd déjà vu in your gut. You follow him, because that's what this Guinevere apparently does, because the night is too quiet now, and because there's something humming in your bones that says, this isn't your first time doing this, and maybe it won't be the last. The ride to the manor is silent. Alaric leads the horse while you sway in the saddle wrapped in his cloak. The sky shifts above, clouds skimming fast as if time's speeding up without permission. On the way, you pass a half-fallen shrine draped in silver ivy. A candle still burns inside. Beside it, coins and a single boot. What's that for? You ask, nodding towards it. A superstition, Alaric mutters. For those who wake up in the wrong body, you leave something of the old life behind. Helps the soul find its way. Does it work? No one's ever come back to complain. The manor appears like a dream. Towers blurred by fog, windows dark but watchful. Ivy crawls up its bones. Somewhere, a dog howls. Inside, the place is frozen in time. Candles already lit, fireplaces crackling, a steaming basin waiting in a tiled chamber that smells of lavender and something sharp like cider. Someone prepared this? You ask. He doesn't answer that either. Just leaves. And you're left with the flickering shadows, the velvet ribbon, and the creeping suspicion that this life, whatever it is, has already started without you. Maybe you were never meant to survive this time.
You wake before the sun. The manor is hushed in that particular way only very old houses manage. Every floorboard creaks with intention. Every curtain breathes faintly with the dawn breeze. You pad barefoot through the halls, drawn by instinct, not thought, until you're standing in the attic. It smells like lavender and parchment, a place time forgot, which of course means it's exactly where you need to be. There, covered in a sheet and nestled between forgotten portraits and broken candelabras, is the harp. Your harp. You don't remember learning to play it, but your fingers do. You uncover it, and before you realize what you're doing, you sit, stretch your arms, and let a single note fall into the air. It hums, delicate, rich, like a secret-made sound. And then it starts to play itself. No, not quite. Your hands move. You just don't command them. The music comes from a version of you buried so deep, even the light couldn't reach her. And suddenly, you're crying. Not sobs, but that quiet, full sort of weeping that feels more like release than sadness. You remember playing this song in a candlelit hall with 100 strangers watching. You remember finishing it and locking eyes with someone in the crowd. Someone who had a dagger hidden in their sleeve. Someone who loved you enough to hesitate and not enough to stop. When Alaric finds you, the room is soaked in music. He leans in the doorway. "You always played that when you were scared," he says softly. You stop. Blink. I don't remember that. I do. He walks over, sits behind you on the floor, rests his back against your spine. You lean into him, and it's enough. Later, you find a journal tucked inside a hollow stair, because apparently this house just never stops revealing secrets once you break its curse. The leather is worn, the pages edged in gold leaf. Inside are sketches of you. Different versions. Some in armor, one with feathers growing from your shoulders, one with a crown of frost and a baby on her hip. Each sketch is signed with the same letter, E. You sit in the stairwell, thumbing through the pages, and realize Elias never stopped trying to understand you, even when you couldn't understand yourself. And that's the problem, isn't it? He loved the memory of you. Alaric loves the you that wakes up and still burns the toast sometimes. That night, a storm rolls over the hills. Wind howls, rain drums the shutters, lightning flashes like divine photography. You and Alaric light candles, move blankets to the library, and read poetry aloud with terrible accents. Somewhere between the thunder and the line, and in her sleep, she named the stars and forgot to weep, you both go quiet. You're sitting shoulder to shoulder on the floor. His voice is low. "I'm afraid this will disappear." You don't have to ask what he means, so you answer the only way you can. "It might." He looks at you. You hold his gaze. But this time, we'll fight for it. You tell him everything about the 6 loops, the betrayals, the peaches, the prince and the dagger, the version of him who walked away, the version who didn't. And you watch him take it in, not flinch, not question, just listen. When you're done, he nods once and says, "Then I'm grateful for every version that brought you to this one." Which is exactly the moment you know you're going to marry this man someday. Maybe not with a crown, maybe not in a church, but in some field, under some tree, with someone awkwardly reciting poetry. In the morning, the storm has passed, and the sky is scrubbed clean. You and Alaric walk into town. It's market day. Children run with ribbons in their hair, vendors shout over each other with prices and promises, and someone has a goose on a leash. The goose is definitely in charge. An old woman stops you both. She squints. "Told you," she mutters to her cat. "She came back." You glance at Alaric. "She always does," he says. The old woman smiles and hands you a small charm, woven from straw and blue thread. It's a ward for newly sewn hearts. Keeps them from unraveling too soon. You don't believe in superstitions. Not anymore. But you keep the charm anyway. That night, Bryn joins you for supper. She brings something she calls eternal pie, which turns out to be filled with 7 kinds of berries and at least 3 kinds of alcohol. This was once banned by a bishop and caused a duel over a goat, she announces proudly. Everything in this region comes back to goats, Alaric says. You say that like it's a bad thing, she replies. You sit by the fire afterward, warm and full, and laughing more than you probably should. And when the laughter fades and the fire turns to embers, Bryn stands. Well, she says, stretching, I've lingered too long in this life. You've got it from here. You blink. Wait, what? She says softly. I was only ever meant to guide you to the gate, not walk through it. Your throat tightens. But where will you go? She shrugs. Wherever strange girls need a little mischief and a little truth. Then she kisses your cheek, winks at Alaric, and vanishes. Literally. Into smoke. You sit there, stunned. Then Alaric says, She left your hedgehog. You both stare at the little creature. It blinks and sneezes. The manor is yours now. Not a prison, not a museum, a home. You fall asleep that night with the hedgehog snoring softly in its tiny basket beside the hearth, and Alaric's arm curled around your waist. You dream, not of fire or falling or lost time, but of peaches, ripe, sweet, and bursting with sunlight. Autumn thickens like syrup. The air smells of wood smoke, spiced wine, and the faint tang of apples gone soft on the branch. The hills wear their golds and reds with an easy vanity, and you start sleeping with the windows open. Not because it's warm, but because the cold reminds you that you're still alive. Life at the manor settles into a rhythm. You rise with Alaric most mornings, unless he sneaks out early to bring back bread so fresh it fogs up the windows. The hedgehog now rules the kitchen from atop a tea tin. You've named him Reginald. He ignores it. Letters begin to arrive. Some are from villagers, asking you to settle disputes about turnips or marriage contracts or why their goat is sad. You recommend a ribbon. It works. Some are less local. One arrives sealed in green wax with the crust of House Evermere, a name you don't remember, but your fingertips do. It's an invitation to the Frost Court, a gathering held once a decade by the oldest bloodlines of the Old Kingdoms. You read it aloud over soup. Alaric nearly chokes on a carrot. You were royalty? You shrug. I still owe a goose duel from the last time. You debate going. You shouldn't. That life was sharp edges and colder beds. But a part of you wonders, if this life is your last, shouldn't you be curious? And it's not fear that finally tips the scales. It's something stranger, a dream. You're standing on ice. The sky is velvet black, the stars close and pulsing. A woman stands opposite you. Her face is yours, but older, tired, crowned in frost. She says, "You're not done." With what? She doesn't answer. She just touches your chest, and you wake gasping. The frost mark is back, just a shimmer, barely there on your sternum, but real. You trace it with your fingertip and know. It's a summons. Not from them, from you. From the you that still needs something only the frost can give. Alaric packs a sword and 3 books. You pack 5 cloaks, a tin of honey, and Reginald, because apparently he cannot be left unattended without attempting to declare dominion over local wildlife. The journey takes 4 days on horseback, through crimson woods, over bridges with too many teeth carved beneath them, past villages that vanish the moment you stop looking.
You pass a stone where a lover once carved your name. It's mossed now, nearly unreadable. Still, your hand brushes it, and for a moment, your heart does too. On the 5th day, you reach Evermere. It's not a castle, it's a statement. All white towers and glinting glass, spiked with obsidian spires that seem to slice the clouds themselves. Snow falls in slow spirals, even though the season hasn't turned. They greet you not with trumpets or titles, but with silence. You dismount. Alaric mutters, "This place has the same energy as your judging aunt." You squeeze his hand. Don't let anyone freeze your cider. Inside, the halls are draped in silver. The floors hum beneath your feet. Not metaphorically, they hum. And then you see her. The woman from the dream, frost-crowned, pale-eyed, smiling like she's holding in thunder. "You came," she says. You blink. "Do I know you?" She leans in, close enough that her breath fogs against your cheek. "I'm who you almost became." They hold a feast, not of food, but of memory. Each course is a whispered story poured into a goblet, a taste of something once lived. They serve you regret, steeped in roses, joy, soaked in lemon honey, loss you don't remember, but feel like a pulled tooth. You drink carefully. Alaric only eats bread and keeps muttering, "What is wrong with these people?" When the frost woman, who calls herself Queen Isolde of the Elsewhere Vale, toasts to the girl who turned away from her throne, the air itself shivers, and you feel it. The power, yours, still waiting. That night, she comes to your chambers, offers you a gift, a crown woven from the bones of winter. "You can rule again," she says. "They're waiting. They never stopped." You touch it. It's cold, heavy, too much like the life you've already died in once. You say nothing. She leaves the crown on the windowsill, and you spend the night awake, staring at it. In the morning, you leave. No ceremony, no announcement. Just you, Alaric, Reginald, and your refusal. They don't stop you. Because here's the thing about power. It only works if you believe you need it. On the road home, Alaric says, "I would have followed you, if you'd stayed." You nod. "I know. That's why I didn't." He looks at you like you've just set something right in him too. And for the first time in all your lives, you realize you have a choice. Not just to live, but to choose how. To be soft without breaking, to carry memory without drowning, to stop chasing who you were and love who you are. You kiss him in a grove where snow and sunlight fall together. It's quiet, it's kind, it's enough. You wake with sunlight painting lazy stripes across the quilt, and Alaric's breathing warm at your back. It takes you a moment to realize you're smiling, and an even longer moment to realize you aren't scared of it. The fear, that quiet specter that used to rattle behind your ribs, has gone still, not vanished, just finally at peace, like it no longer needs to guard every flicker of joy like it might be stolen. You stretch beneath the covers, feet tangled, hair a mess, heart surprisingly intact. Somewhere downstairs, the hedgehog is clattering about in its absurdly tiny armor. You did not put it on, Alaric swears he didn't either, This implies the hedgehog has strong opinions about fashion. You glance at the window and sigh, "We're supposed to go to the harvest fair." Alaric groans. "Tell them the Baroness caught a terrible case of cozy bed. Incurable. Tragic." You kick him gently and throw on something half-decent, which in this life means a linen dress with pockets deep enough to hide secrets. Or snacks. You haven't decided. The town is thick with ribbons, laughter, and the scent of roasted chestnuts. Children run through hay bales, old men play fiddles with more heart than tune. Someone sells enchanted scarves that supposedly whisper compliments to you when no one else will. You try one on. It whispers, "Nice ankles." Alaric buys it immediately. The two of you wander hand in hand through the stalls, occasionally stopped by villagers who offer smiles, nods, and once an aggressively large gourd. "This," the man declares, "is for fertility." You nod solemnly. "Yes, we've been struggling to grow our gourds." He does not laugh. You make a mental note to never speak to him again. In the center of the square stands an enormous effigy, woven of vine and straw, shaped like a crowned stag. It's the Harvest King, the spirit of abundance, said to bless couples who walk around it 3 times backward while holding their breath. Naturally, you and Alaric give it a try. You make it 2.5 circuits before tripping over your own skirt and landing squarely in a bale of hay. He tries to help you up and ends up on top of you, both of you laughing like drunk poets. A small child screams, "They're doing the wedding tumble!" You both pretend to die. That evening, back at the manor, you find a letter pinned to your door. It's sealed in crimson wax with an emblem you don't recognize. A crescent moon tangled with ivy. Inside is a single sentence. "The curse never ends, it only sleeps." No signature, no address, just those words. Your skin goes cold. Alaric reads it over your shoulder, his mouth tightening. "I thought we were free," you whisper. "We are, but freedom's not the same as safety." You tuck the letter into the fire. It smolders, curls, turns to ash. You stare at the embers, wondering how many lives it takes to feel truly untouchable. Later, you walk the edge of the orchard, wind curling through the grass, and ask the moon quietly, "Is this peace or just a pause?" You half expect the moon to answer. She doesn't. But you do find a hidden door in the garden wall, one that wasn't there yesterday. It's arched in stone, choked with ivy. You brush the leaves away and see a faint carving. "For the once and always." You glance back at the manor, then push it open. The path beyond the door winds through a forest that feels familiar. Not visually, but in your bones, like it remembers your footsteps, like you walked it once, maybe hand in hand with someone, maybe alone, maybe bleeding. You follow it until you reach a clearing. There, nestled in the roots of an ancient tree, is a mirror, but not an ordinary one. This one reflects you, and also not you. Faint images ripple through its surface, versions of you you've never been. A knight in armor, kneeling before a wounded lover. A scholar in spectacles writing spells into the margins of forbidden books. A queen with silver hair and a crown made of silence. Each flickers and fades, but the last one remains. It's you, standing barefoot in a linen dress, a small hedgehog on your shoulder, and Alaric in the background trying to climb a tree and very obviously failing. You laugh, the reflection laughs, and you realize this one is enough. You press your palm to the mirror. It ripples, then stills. And a soft voice, not yours, but maybe belonging to all the yous that came before, says, "Then guard her well." When you return to the manor, Alaric is on the roof tossing breadcrumbs to a bird that he swears is following him like a feathered debt collector. You climb up beside him, ignoring the ladder and just using the ivy like some chaotic woodland creature. "Find anything?" he asks. "A mirror that showed me my many selves, and a door that may or may not vanish by sunrise." He nods like this is normal. You lean your head on his shoulder. "I want to stay." "You already are." "No, I mean properly. No more 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I want to belong to this." He's quiet for a moment. Then he says, "I've already built a drawer for your socks." You smile. There's nothing more serious than sock storage. As night deepens, the stars come out again, familiar and strange. You lie on your back atop the roof tiles, Alaric beside you, both of you warm with cider and the kind of sleepiness that only comes after a day spent earning happiness. And you think, maybe the curse never ends, but neither does love. And you finally stopped waiting for the worst to come knocking, 'cause you're too busy living in the best. And if the darkness returns, well, let it knock. You'll answer the door with a hedgehog in armor and a frying pan in hand. Because this time, you're ready. The ground hums beneath your knees. It isn't dramatic. No lightning, no rift in the sky. But something fundamental has shifted. You feel it in the pit of your stomach, in your bones, in the way the air no longer resists your breath. You stand slowly, peach still in hand, one bite taken. The charm around your wrist has unraveled itself, thread by thread, falling to the roots of the tree and disappearing like morning mist. You remember everything now. And it's almost too much. 6 lives, 3 deaths. 2 choices you never meant to make, and 1 truth too painful to say aloud. You loved them both. You return to the manor through the side door, the one near the conservatory that only you used to use. The ivy recognizes you now. It parts without you needing to touch it. A small courtesy from a house that's watched you suffer for centuries. Inside, the candlelight bends a little warmer. You walk the hallways with different steps. Not Guinevere the confused, not Guinevere the cursed, not even Guinevere the brave. No, this time you walk as Guinevere the remembered. The one who has seen every ending and still chooses to write a new one. Bryn is waiting at the top of the stairs. She doesn't smile. She only nods. "So, you ate it." You nod back. "I remember the year we buried you in the West Garden. It was raining. Alaric wouldn't let go of your sword for days. I had to slip sleeping powder into his wine just to make him eat." You stare at her, blinking. "I didn't think you'd still be here." "Oh, please," she waves a hand. "You think I'd abandoned a drama like this? I'm half familiar, half friend, and a touch of fungus at this point. I grow on tragedy." A small laugh escapes you. "I loved them both." She meets your eyes. "I know." You expect judgment, a warning, a choice. You get neither. "Come with me," she says, turning. "It's time for the remembering." The Great Hall has changed. You don't know how exactly, but the floor tiles seem to shimmer with a different geometry, and the stained glass windows no longer depict saints, but you. Versions of you. Warrior, queen, peasant, spy, priestess, widow, bride. You don't even flinch at it. At the center of the room is a shallow pool. No water, just light. shining up from below like the stars have decided to show you their underbellies. Bryn gestures to the edge. 1 foot in, 1 word spoken. That's all it takes. You hesitate. What word? His name. You blink. Which one? Her smile is wistful. Yours. You step into the pool. The light rushes up your spine like a second heartbeat, and you whisper it. Guinevere. The pool answers in kind. Light bends around you. Shapes rise. Voices swirl. And then you are standing in a room you've never seen but feel you've lived in for years. A bed with a velvet canopy, a fireplace crackling softly, 2 cups of tea, 1 still steaming. Across from you sits Elias, but not a dream, not a memory. Him, present, real. He looks up and smiles. You found your way back. You cross to him in 2 breaths. I remember everything. He doesn't seem surprised. I hoped the tree would still bloom. You reach out, touch his face. He's solid, alive. And you realize with a cold jolt, this isn't part of the loop. You're out of it. You've broken it. Somehow the fruit gave you more than memory. It gave you choice again. He leans into your hand. You still feel like starlight, he says. You close your eyes. You still feel like fire. His hand covers yours. I never stopped trying to bring you back. I know, you whisper. But you remember the versions of him that twisted, that chose power, that broke you. So you ask the question you never dared before. Why? He's quiet for a long time. Then, because I loved you, in every life, even the ones where I had to kill you. You step back. It doesn't hurt. It should, but it doesn't. Because now you can see it, the full truth. Elias loved you too much to let you go. And sometimes love like that becomes a prison. When you leave the light pool, the hall is empty. Bryn is gone. Even the windows have returned to their stained saints. But Alaric waits for you at the back of the room, leaning against a pillar, arms crossed. Did you see him? You nod. Talk to him. And? He studies you carefully. I let him go. Alaric tilts his head. Because you love him? Because I always did. He steps forward. And now, you look at him. Really look at him. The scar at his temple from the duel you lost, the faded leather of his gloves, the ones you stitched during the snow season, the pendant you gave him lifetimes ago, still tucked under his collar. You say, I don't want a love that loops. I want a love that walks beside me. He swallows. I don't have crowns or curses. Good. You smile. I've had enough of both. That night, you don't dream. Because you don't have to. You wake with your fingers intertwined with his. And the world doesn't feel borrowed anymore. It feels chosen. And far beneath the manor, in the vault of mirrors, the last one quietly shatters. No reflection. No ghost. Just a single whisper that no longer echoes. You're free.
You don't take the Duke's hand. You don't run, either. You simply tilt your head and ask, as calmly as you can manage, what exactly did I say when I promised that? He grins, slow and certain, like he's savoring a private joke. It wasn't with words, he says. It was with fire. Alaric makes a sound between a scoff and a growl. She doesn't remember you. Duke Elias turns his head lazily. Give it a week. His gaze flicks back to you. The memories come when the blood wants them badly enough. You hate how easily those words slide under your skin, not because you believe him, but because part of you does. A memory stirs. The sharp scent of wine spilled on silk, a balcony. The feel of someone's hand on your waist pressing you back against cold stone as laughter rose below. A voice, his, saying, "We're already ruined, darling. Might as well make it beautiful." You blink it away. "Why are you here?" you ask. "To reclaim what's mine," he replies. Alaric steps forward. "She was never yours." Elias raises a single brow. "You'd think you'd have accepted it by now, cousin." "Oh." That twist slides in sharp and quiet. "Cousin?" you repeat. Elias turns to you, his smile sly. "Our families were cursed together, yours and mine and his. 3 names written on the same bone. We've all taken turns being the villain, except Alaric. He insists on being the hero every time." Alaric's jaw tightens. "You should go." "I should," Elias agrees, "but I won't." He bows to you again, without mockery this time. "I'll find my rooms." He disappears down the corridor with the fluid grace of someone who already knows the way. You turn to Alaric. "Anything else you've neglected to mention?" His eyes are shadowed. 100 things, but none you're ready for. That night, you walk the manor grounds. The moon is full, the air soft and humming with unseen life. Somewhere beyond the trees, a wolf howls, long and low and mournful. You follow the gravel path until it breaks into a garden choked with weeds and memory. And there it is, the peach tree. It stands alone near the crumbled edge of a fountain, blossoms ghost pale under the moonlight. The petals drift in slow motion. Time doesn't work properly here. You step closer. Your heart starts beating like it remembers this place better than your head ever could. And then, flash. You're not standing. You're kneeling in the grass, hand pressed to a wound in your side, hot blood trickling through your fingers. Someone shouting your name, not Guinevere, something older, shorter. It feels like being pulled backward through water. You blink. You're upright again, whole. You touch your side, nothing. Just the fabric of your borrowed gown. "Peach trees," says Bryn behind you, holding a lantern, "used to be planted over graves. They believe that when a soul can't find its way out, it rises through the roots, the fruit sweetens, the tree remembers." "Did someone die here?" you ask. She gives you a look, dry, almost maternal. "Yes, many someones, but yes, you in particular, more than once." You sit on the edge of the fountain, suddenly tired. "Did he do it?" you ask. "Which one?" she asks, not unkindly. You don't answer. Instead, you ask, "Why a peach tree?" Bryn shrugs. "Custom of the Vale. They believe peach blossoms capture last words. Every time the wind stirs, you might hear someone's goodbye." You listen. There is a breeze, and maybe, just maybe, you hear something soft and broken. "Don't come back next time." You don't ask who said it. The next morning, you're summoned to the west parlor. It's ridiculous how grand the place is. Arched windows, tapestries, enough marble to declare a small war. Elias lounges near the hearth like he belongs on a coin. Alaric stands by the window, arms crossed, every muscle tense. Bryn sits between them, poised and unimpressed. You are apparently the deciding vote.
"We have a problem," Bryn says, sipping tea that somehow doesn't slosh despite the tension. "The villagers saw a comet last night." "And that matters why?" you ask. Alaric answers, "In the old lore, a comet during the second moon marks a choosing. Someone must decide the path, life, death, or repeat." Elias smiles at you. Guess who they think it'll be? Bryn sets down her cup. They'll expect a sign by the Festival of First Deaths. You blink. "That's a real thing?" "Tomorrow," Bryn confirms. "Charming. It's a local superstition, celebrated once every 17 years, when the calendar aligns just so. Couples wear the colors of the dead, children write the names of ancestors in chalk across cobblestones, and those who've died before are asked to walk among the living, to taste wine, to dance, to choose again. You're the guest of honor, of course, being technically, spiritually, and inconveniently reborn. That night, your sleep is a tangle of peach petals and voices you don't know how to forget. You dream of a garden burning, of Elias placing a crown of frost on your head, of Alaric with blood on his hands, whispering, "It was supposed to save you." And always the wind, always the words you never quite catch. You wake just before dawn, heart racing. The sky is streaked with violet, and outside the villagers are already lighting lanterns. Red and gold and green, the colors of remembering. Maybe tomorrow you'll learn who you used to be, or maybe you'll become someone entirely else. The seasons pass like pages turning in a favorite book. Spring comes soft and sleepy, as if it too has found peace in your quiet little world. Snowdrops line the stone path, and the orchard blooms early. Alaric says it's a good omen. You say it's because he talks to the trees when he thinks you're not listening. He blushes. You don't let him forget it. You begin painting. Not well, not even confidently, but you like the way the colors stain your fingers, how it doesn't matter what the result looks like. You paint your dreams, staircases that spiral into clouds, hedgehogs in crowns, a little cottage on the edge of a river you've never seen but somehow already miss. Alaric builds you a wooden easel. It creaks. You love it. One day, a girl knocks on your door. She's no older than 16, and she's shaking like a leaf caught in two winds. "I think I'm cursed," she whispers. You offer her tea. And a seat. And gently, your story. Not the dramatic parts, not the noble bloodlines or frostbitten palaces, but the truth beneath all that. The ache, the running, the choosing to stop. You give her a charm, a silver thimble with rosemary tucked inside. You say it's for courage, but really it's for remembering. She smiles, and you see yourself, not exactly, but close, in the slope of her shoulders when she walks away straighter than she arrived. Later, Alaric murmurs, "You've become the legend people visit." You grin. "I'm the local witch wife now. I should get a raven." "You've got a hedgehog with an ego. Close enough." Reginald preens. One evening, you find a book in the library you've never seen before. It's unlabeled, bound in soft leather that feels warmer than it should. Inside, pages blank but faintly shimmering, like moonlight caught on skin. When you press your palm to the first page, words rise, written in a script that mirrors your own. They read, "This is where the story settles." You close it, tuck it away. Not because you're finished, but because now you write the rest by living. Summer tastes like basil and wine-soaked peaches. Your days are filled with the quiet kind of joy no bard ever sings about. The sound of laundry snapping on the line, the soft sigh a lark makes when he falls asleep reading, the muffled giggle of children daring each other to knock on your door and ask about spells. The truth is, you're not just a witch wife now. You're a chapter in their lore. The girl who returned from a curse, the lady who drinks moon tea and sleeps with the window open even in winter, the one who didn't choose the crown but built a kingdom anyway, out of spoons and books and kindness. And still, every now and then, the wind changes. A flicker of magic in the distance. A visitor with eyes too old for their face. A letter you burn before reading. But you don't flinch anymore. You just light another candle, pull Alaric closer, and remember, you are not waiting for the next life anymore. You are living this one. The village holds a harvest festival. They ask you and Alaric to judge the pie contest. He takes it very seriously. I suspect it's because he knows one of the contestants used an enchanted goose egg. We declare a tie. Chaos erupts. It's glorious. You laugh so hard your ribs ache. Afterwards, you dance barefoot in the square. You lose track of time. You lose track of everything but his hands, the stars, and the ridiculous grin on his face when you nearly trip over a goat. Someone plays a slow song. And there, with lantern light in your hair and frost curling at the corners of your thoughts, you lean in and whisper, "This is the best ending I never planned." Alaric kisses your nose. Good, because I'm not going anywhere. Later, back at the manor, curled under a blanket that smells like smoke and apples, he murmurs, "Do you ever miss it?" You don't ask what it means. The castles, the power, the peril, the ache of always almost belonging. You think for a long moment, then say, "I miss the versions of me I left behind, but not enough to become them again." He nods. "I miss them too, but I love this one best." You smile against his chest. I think she's starting to love herself too. Outside, frost brushes the windows. A hush falls over the world. And you, quietly, finally, feel whole. Not because the past is gone, but because it no longer holds your hands. You hold yours. You don't sleep. You lie in a feather-soft bed with a canopy of velvet and lace, staring at a carved wooden ceiling that probably took 3 lifetimes to finish. The sheets smell like clove and rose water. The hearth crackles. Everything is warm, safe, even. But sleep refuses you like it's personal. There's a mirror on the opposite wall, oval and tilted just enough to catch your profile when the flames dance. You look unfamiliar again. Not wrong, just worn from some long journey you don't remember taking. And then there's the house. It breathes. You swear the beams creak in response to your thoughts. Shadows stretch too long under your footsteps. The curtains shift when there's no wind. Not sinister, exactly, just aware. By the 3rd hour, you give up on rest and wander. The hallways are labyrinthine, portraits of strangers, tall-necked ladies, soldiers with sad eyes, children posed with 2 still pets line the walls. They don't feel like family, but something in your stomach knots when you pass them. Like one of them might be you, or might have been. You find a door, slightly ajar. Inside, a library, thick with dust and forgotten stories. A black cat perched atop a globe watches you enter like you're late to something. You whisper a greeting. It blinks. You don't know what you expected. Lady Guinevere, comes a soft voice behind you. You jump. An older woman in a dark dress stands in the doorway, holding a candlestick. High collar, no smile. She's the kind of person who's been disappointed by centuries of people, but will still fix your posture while you cry. Do I know you? You ask. She dips into a curtsy. I am Bryn, housekeeper. You hired me once, and I've served since. Since when? She glances at the grandfather clock. Roughly 143 years, give or take the curse resets. You blink. Excuse me? She sighs, steps in, and places the candle down with the weary precision of someone who's been explaining impossible things since the invention of chairs. This house is old. Older than kingdoms. Built on a ley line and fueled by memory. Every time you die, you come back here. Every time you forget, we begin again. Is that supposed to be comforting? She smiles. It does not reach her eyes. It's simply true. You look around. The books, the velvet, the damn cat. The feeling you've never really left this place. How many times have I returned? Bryn tilts her head. In this form? 3. In others? She waves a hand. Many. You take a shaky breath. Was Alaric here each time? Oh yes, he's the fool who started this. By killing me? No. Her eyes flash. By loving you and binding his soul to yours. You sit heavily in a chair that groans beneath you. The cat leaps to a lower shelf, disinterested now that you're not panicking loudly. Why can't I remember anything? That's the cost, she says, of choosing to return. Did I choose this? She picks up the candle and turns. Not this time, she says, already walking away. But you will. You wander more the next day. The manor is awake. Fireplace is lit, curtains drawn. Servants you don't recognize nod to you with just a little too much reverence. One offers you a biscuit and won't meet your eyes. Another murmurs, "Welcome back," like it's both a wish and a warning. In the drawing room, you find a peculiar sight. A boy, no more than 10, sits at a chessboard, whispering to the pieces. His hair is sun-bleached, his boots too big. He glances up. "You're the one who dies under the peach tree," he says. You freeze. "Do I?" He nods solemnly. "But only if you stay." "Stay where?" He shrugs and moves a knight. "Here, in this loop, this version." "And if I leave?" "You die somewhere else." He grins, like that's obvious. "I'm Henry. I belong to the heir." You furrow your brow. "The heir. Alaric?" He laughs. "No, his heir. You haven't met him yet, but you will." He leans forward conspiratorially. "You're supposed to fall in love with him this time." "Oh." You fold your arms. "And how do you know that?" He taps his temple. "Dreams. I get them when the moon's wrong." Of course he does. Before you can press further, the wind outside shifts. Something heavy, distant, like a carriage arriving, or a prophecy waking up from a nap. You excuse yourself and head toward the front hall. Alaric is already there, standing by the door, gaze hard. The wind whips in as the butler opens it, revealing a man, tall, blonde, gleaming boots, and that smug posture of someone born very sure he belongs at the center of every room. His cloak is violet, clasped with a ruby pin. His eyes scan the foyer until they land on you. He bows deeply. "Lady Guinevere," he purrs. "My, but you're even lovelier this time." You don't move. "Do I know you?" he says. "Not yet. But give it time. You and I have a habit of making quite the mess." Alaric steps forward, all teeth beneath civility. "You're early." The stranger smiles. "And you're still playing nursemaid to ghosts." You glance between them. The tension is thick enough to spread on toast. "Who are you?" you ask. He steps closer, eyes gleaming. "I'm Duke Elias of Ardenmoor," he says, offering his gloved hand. "And once upon a time, you promised to ruin your life for me." You don't take the hand. Not yet. But something in your chest pulls tight, as if it remembers doing exactly that. You wake to bells. Not the delicate sort that chime gently from silver towers or distant churches. No, these are riotous, uneven, the kind of bells that jangle nerves and rattle thoughts right out of your skull. Festival bells. The kind villagers ring to say, "The dead are listening, so speak sweetly or regret it." You sit up. Someone's already left clothes at the foot of your bed. A gown the color of dusk. Slate blue, threaded with black lace and tiny glass beads that catch the light like stars. A velvet ribbon for your throat, and, oddly, a pair of gloves. You dress slowly, not because you're unsure, but because you want to delay the inevitable, stepping out into a world that's already written a story you haven't read. In the mirror, you don't look like a woman returning from death. You look like a bride of the wind, regal, otherworldly, a little tragic. You hate how well it suits you. Downstairs, the manor is humming with preparation. Servants rush past with baskets of dried lavender and bundles of black candles. Bryn meets you near the east foyer, her arms crossed. "Do I look like myself?" you ask, not sure what you mean. "You look like someone who shouldn't be underestimated," she says. "Now, try not to fall in love with anyone else until after the fire dancing." You blink. "That's a thing?" "Of course it's a thing," she sniffs. "It's a festival. It would hardly be complete without an element of mortal risk." She hands you a slim envelope. Your invitation. "To my own resurrection party?" "Formality," she says. "Also, the ink is scented. Lavender and citrus, very appealing to ghosts." You wonder, briefly, if you are a ghost, and if so, whether you smell nice. The village of Underfen lies just beyond the hill. You take a carriage, as befits a lady who may or may not be the axis upon which fate will turn. The townsfolk await in the square, dressed in every shade of mourning. Not somber, no, this is festive death. Laughter, music, a riot of color. Black veils lifted in flirtation. Children with white painted faces chase each other through the crowd, shrieking joyfully as if death were a game of tag. There's a central platform where ribbons hang like entrails from a maypole. Beside it stands the Elder Mother, a woman older than memory, wrapped in moss-green robes and 1,000 whispered warnings. She approaches you with a bowed head. "Guinevere," she murmurs, voice like old parchment. "We welcome you back. May your heart remember what your mind has lost." You nod because it seems like the thing to do. Then she leans in and whispers, "Beware the third flame. It always lies." That's comforting. You wander the stalls. There are glass jars of salt for protection, cakes shaped like skulls, perfumed ink for love letters you're supposed to burn before reading. One old woman tries to sell you a charm made from a pig's tooth. Wards off unwanted suitors, she cackles. You consider buying too. Then you feel it. Someone's watching you. You turn, slowly, and there he is. Elias. But not the smug version from the manor. This Elias is dressed like the townsfolk. Dark tunic, windblown hair, eyes quiet. He stands beside a booth selling honeyed apples, spinning one lazily by the stem. You came. I didn't have much choice. You always have a choice. You just rarely like the options. You stare at him. Did I love you? A beat. Then, yes. Another beat. Did I kill you? That smile again. Half truth, half dare. No, but you let me die. Once. Your stomach turns, and you can't decide if it's guilt or déjà vu. Maybe both. He takes a slow step toward you, holds out the apple. It's not poisoned. Not this time. You take it, more out of defiance than hunger. The moment your fingers brush his, something shifts. Not quite memory, more like the echo of it. A dark hall, candlelight, you whispering, "I'll find you again, no matter the body." You pull your hand back too quickly. The apple drops, rolls into a puddle of wax and forgotten offerings. He watches you. Expression unreadable. "You'll have to choose soon," he says, softly. "One of us. One path. And no matter what you pick, you'll lose something." That's not fair. It's never been fair, darling. He disappears into the crowd like he was never there. Later, just before the fire dancing, Alaric finds you near the edge of the square. He's changed too. Gone is the brooding noble. He wears a simple shirt, sleeves rolled, a sprig of rosemary tucked behind one ear. He looks like someone who could build a house with his hands and then write poetry about the view. "You look," he begins, and then stops. "Like I'm about to make a catastrophic mistake," you offer. He smirks. "Like you belong." He leads you toward the fire circle. A group of villagers form the outer ring, holding torches. In the center, dancers with ash-painted arms begin to twirl, their movements wild, beautiful, and strange. It's said the dead love this part best, because it reminds them what it felt like to burn. Alaric leans close. "There's something you need to know." You wait. The loop isn't just about love, it's about choice. You chose once before, chose to break it, but someone stopped you. Who? I don't know, but I think they're here tonight. The third flame. The liar. Just then, the elder mother lifts a gnarled staff and strikes the ground 3 times. The crowd hushes. 3 great bonfires erupt in sequence. Left, center, right. 3 flames. 1 truth, 1 lie, 1 fate. You feel pulled to them, as if your bones remember a ritual your minds never learned. You step forward, but which one is yours? The center flame flares suddenly, unnaturally high, crackling blue. The crowd gasps. The elder mother frowns. Alaric grabs your hand. "Don't trust it," he says. "That's not the flame. That's someone inside it." And then, through the flicker and sparks, you see him. Elias. Standing in the center fire, untouched, his eyes fixed only on you. and he mouths, "Choose me."
She doesn't move. Neither do you. Your breath fogs the mirror nearest your cheek, but not hers. Her glass stays cold, still, as though it's already forgotten the concept of warmth. Slowly, she turns her head back toward you. Same eyes, same mouth. But there's a brittleness to her, like glass under too much pressure. She looks like she's been waiting centuries to be forgiven. "You shouldn't have come," she says. You blink. Her voice doesn't echo. It's not inside your head. It's behind the glass. "I don't even know where I am," you murmur. "Yes, you do. You always do. It's why they keep sending you back." You step closer. Your reflection doesn't match your movement. The others do, ghost-like mimics, but not her. She's a different rhythm entirely. "Who are you?" you whisper. She tilts her head. "I'm the one who stayed. The one who said yes to love and forgot the war outside the window. I'm the version of you that chose the fire." You feel dizzy. "You mean Elias?" She doesn't nod, but she doesn't deny it either. "You burned with him?" you ask. She looks down at her hands. They shimmer faintly, as if remembering pain. "No, I burned because of him. There's a difference." You want to reach out, but the dagger at your side pulses with heat again, like it knows better. "I was happy once," she says. "We danced in the West Garden every morning before the curse began again. I thought that was enough. Love in a bell jar." "But it wasn't?" Her gaze sharpens. "No, it never is." She turns her back on you again and vanishes. The mirror cracks, thin lines webbing out from where her palm last pressed the glass. You don't realize you're shaking until the chandelier overhead flickers with your heartbeat. You find Bryn in the library, seated atop a ladder like a gargoyle with good hair. She says, "Let me guess, the mirror room called you." You say, "I saw her, a version of me that stayed with Elias." Bryn shrugs like she's heard worse. "Those mirrors are like grave markers. They don't lie, but they only show what you've buried." You sink into a nearby chair. "I don't know what to trust." "Excellent," she chirps. "That means you're finally ready." "For what?" "For the Peach Vigil, of course. Midnight, South Orchard, wear something you don't mind getting dirty." You stare at her. "There's another ritual?" Bryn flips a page. "Darling, you didn't think we'd solve your centuries-long cursed romance in just one festival, did you?" Midnight smells like damp earth and old secrets. The peach orchard is silent. The trees sway gently, but their leaves make no sound. You follow the path by moonlight, velvet hem brushing fallen blossoms. Each step feels like a step back into someone else's life. And then you see it. The peach tree. The one from the sketch. The one from your almost memory. Twisted trunk, roots like claws, blossoms the color of dying roses. A lark stands beside it holding a lantern. "You came," he says quietly. "Always." It slips out before you can stop it. And he freezes. "You remember." You pause. "I don't know what I remember. I just know this feels like the place where everything broke." He kneels and brushes aside the moss at the base of the tree. Beneath, a stone. Not a gravestone, not exactly,
more like a placeholder. Your name carved in faint, fading script. Guinevere. No dates, just a line. Love is the final wound. You drop beside it, heart stuttering. You died here, Alaric says. But not from the fire, not from magic. You whisper. Then from what? He reaches into the soil, pulls out something wrapped in cloth. When he unfolds it, your breath stops. It's a second dagger, identical to yours, but blackened, warped by heat. The one from the fire. He offers it to you. Your memory isn't coming back because it never left. It's been buried under layers of pain and repetition. They want you confused. Who's they? The ones who benefit from the curse staying broken, but looped. The ones who get to play gods while we forget. You hold both daggers now, one clean, one charred. And in the flicker of the lantern, you remember running through this orchard, Elias chasing, laughter breathless, then a scream, yours. Him on his knees, Alaric appearing too late. You cradling Elias, blood on your hands, not his, yours. You didn't stab him. You stabbed yourself to end the loop, to stop the endless back and forth, the reincarnations, the rituals, the agony of half love, half truth. You chose to die, and it didn't work. You drop both daggers. Why would I do that? You whisper. Alaric kneels beside you, touches your wrist. You were trying to save everyone, but someone resurrected you anyway. His jaw clenches. Elias. The name tastes different now, sweet, but with the aftertaste of ash. You look at the peach tree. I need to try again. No. His grip tightens. That's not the way anymore. There's another choice. I don't see another choice. Then we'll make one. He pulls something from his satchel. A charm. It's nothing fancy, just 3 silver rings bound with red thread. But the moment he hands it to you, the wind stops. Even the moon seems to pause. What is it? The last free spell cast before the loops began. It was made to anchor you, to remind you you are the center. Not them, not love. You. You tie it around your wrist, and the orchard exhales, and the tree shivers. Leaves fall in spirals around you, and then, impossibly, a voice whispers from the bark. When you stop choosing between them, you'll remember who you were. The morning is not golden. It is gray. A kind of hush falls over the manor grounds, as if the very soil is holding its breath. You rise with dirt in your hair and the charm still wound tightly around your wrist, its red thread now tinged slightly gold, like it's caught a bit of dawn inside it. Alaric is already awake, sitting on a low wall and watching the orchard with that distant look of someone who's remembering too much all at once. He doesn't say anything. You don't either. Words feel too sharp for mornings like this. But as you brush dried petals from your skirt, you notice something strange. The peach tree, the tree, is blooming again. And not just with flowers. A single perfect fruit now hangs from its lowest branch. And it's glowing. You don't even question it anymore. Back in the manor, Bryn is cross-legged on your bed, surrounded by charms, herbs, and what appears to be a live hedgehog in a teacup. I was wondering when you'd show up. The tree gave fruit, didn't it? You nod slowly. She claps once, the hedgehog squeaking in alarm. Marvelous! That means the next memory phase is unlocked. You'll start feeling things. Stronger, stranger. Some might not even be yours. That's not comforting. Oh, it wasn't meant to be. Drink this. She hands you a vial of something purple and thick, smelling like overripe plums and bad decisions. You eye it suspiciously. Will it kill me? Only your illusions, darling. Now, down the hatch. You drink it. It tastes like regret and clove? The hallucinations begin almost immediately. You see yourself walking through the manor, but it's not this manor. It's newer, gilded, alive with laughter. Servants bow, candles burn blue. A string quartet plays something feverish in the ballroom. And there at the top of the staircase is Elias, but not as you remember him. He's dressed in black and crimson, a crown of twisted metal on his brow. You're not wearing a gown, you're in armor, silver and red, a blade strapped to your back and blood across your cheek. Welcome home, Guinevere of the Iron Oath. Your stomach flips. In this memory, you are not in love. You are at war. You come to on the floor of your chamber, Bryn fanning your face with a page from some grim-looking spellbook. Well, she says, that was faster than expected. Did you see him? You nod. A different version. We weren't lovers. No, that time you were enemies. Well, he thought you were his enemy. You, of course, were trying to kill him before he could do something catastrophic. Did I succeed? Bryn hesitates. That depends. On what? On whether or not you believe mercy was a mistake. You don't like the way she says that. You remember the blade in that memory. Heavy, warm, trusted. It was your oath. You didn't draw it out of anger. You drew it to end something. And yet, you didn't use it. Not then. Later, in the old chapel ruins behind the west wing, you find Alaric sitting by the broken altar, oiling his sword. He doesn't look up as you approach. Remember something else? He asks quietly. Another life. He nods, unsurprised. They're coming faster now. That means the fruit is nearly ripe. The peach? He glances at you. No. You. You sit beside him, watching how his fingers move with practiced calm, the same fingers that had once held your face beneath moonlight. Or had they? Which lifetime had that happened in? Why are you still helping me? After everything? He doesn't stop working. Because once you died for me. You go still. I did? He nods. In the year of the flood moon, you and I were running from Elias. No, not Elias, exactly. More like what he'd become. You stayed behind to hold the bridge. I begged you not to. You stare at the cracked stone beneath your feet. I don't remember. I do, he says. Every night. I was there when they brought your body back. It took 3 days to clean the blood from your armor. Silence. Then you whisper, was I brave? He says, no. You were furious, but you didn't hesitate. The wind passes through the broken arches above, and for a moment, it feels like the chapel is breathing with you.
That night, you dream again. This time, you're underwater. Your gown is white. Your hair floats around you like a veil. You're holding something in both hands. A necklace. A locket. You open it. Inside is a portrait. 2 faces. Yours and Elias's. But he looks older. Tired. You want to speak, but the water fills your mouth. You wake gasping. The charm around your wrist is glowing again. You find Bryn at the kitchen hearth, sprinkling salt in a very specific pattern around a copper pot. "You're close," she says without turning. "The fruit will fall before sunrise." "Do I have to eat it?" she snorts. "Only if you want your memories back. Whole. All of them. Even the ones you buried 6 lifetimes ago." "And if I don't?" She shrugs. "You'll go on half knowing, half loving, half living. The loop continues." You sit heavily on a stool. "I'm scared." "I'd be worried if you weren't." "Will it hurt?" Bryn finally turns. Her eyes are soft this time. "Yes, but not forever." You wait by the tree alone. Alaric offered to come, but something in you knew this had to be just you. The moon is high, the air is still, and then it drops. The fruit. No ceremony, no fanfare, just a soft thud in the grass. You pick it up. It's warm, heavier than you expected. You take a bite. The taste is impossible. Peach, yes, but also smoke, salt, wine, blood, laughter, tears, snow, sun. It's like drinking your entire life in one swallow. And when you do, everything returns. Every version, every choice. Elias in firelight whispering your name. Alaric covered in blood shouting it. Your hands burned, blessed, bound. The daggers, the vow, the curse. You fall to your knees. But you are not broken. You are whole. And in the tree's bloom, you hear your own voice from another time. I choose me. This time, I choose me.
You don't move. The flames leap higher, crackling blue and gold, but your feet stay rooted to the stone. Elias stands in the heart of it like it's a ballroom, not a bonfire. Completely untouched. No smoke, no scorch. Just that impossible smile and the shape of your name on his lips. Alaric tightens his grip on your hand. Don't, he warns. He's tricked you before. He is the third flame. That's why the elder mother... I saw her look at you too, you snap, jerking your hand away. Don't play the innocent. He opens his mouth, shuts it, looks at you like he's trying to remember who you are, or maybe who he used to be when you loved him. You step forward. The flames rise, wind whipping your hair across your cheek like warning lashes. The crowd draws back, a silent wall of breathless watchers. You know this moment. Somewhere in the hidden ache of your memory, this has happened before. 3 flames, 3 fates. 1 lie, 1 truth, 1 death. You move past the first fire. It pulses red, steady, hot, normal, real. A baker's hearth, a pyre, a flame meant for endings.
You pause by the second. Greenish, unnatural, flickering too fast. A flame that seems to bend toward you, reaching for your sleeves like it wants to catch. You step back. And then the third, the blue-gold inferno. Elias still stands at the center, silent now, but his gaze pleading. Maybe it's illusion, or maybe you're looking at a god who just hasn't remembered to smite anyone lately. Guinevere, Bryn says from behind you, her voice sharp as frostbite. This is not your choice yet, not fully. You turn. She's holding something wrapped in cloth. When she unwraps it, your breath catches. It's a dagger. Not ornate, not even very sharp. But it's yours. You know it's yours. A crude carving on the hilt, 2 stars and a crescent moon. You carved it yourself. You can feel the memory of it in your knuckles. Choose with this, Bryn says, eyes glittering. Not your heart, not his. Let the steel remember. She presses it into your palm, cold and perfectly familiar. You step closer to the third flame. Elias raises his arm slightly, as though to embrace you, but he doesn't move forward. You raise the dagger and plunge it into the ground between you. The fire bursts apart. Wind shrieks through the square, scattering ash and petals and someone's dropped love charm. The blue flame disappears. Elias vanishes. The silence afterward is staggering. Then the crowd erupts. Some cheer, some scream, others begin muttering prayers in the old tongue, tracing shapes on their chests and flinging salt over their shoulders. The elder mother walks to the spot where your blade still stands. She regards it a moment, then pulls it from the earth and hands it back to you. Not your true choice, but a wise one for now. You look at your hand. Your palm is blistered where the hilt touched your skin. Later, you sit on the edge of a barrel behind the candle tent, your gown sooty and your heart racing like it's trying to get ahead of fate. Alaric finds you. You saved us all, he says. I'm not sure I saved anything. He kneels beside you. You hesitated. That's good. It means you're remembering who not to trust. You glance at him. I'm remembering shadows, feelings, but nothing sharp. It's like trying to hold smoke. He smiles faintly. Memory isn't everything. Sometimes your instincts are older. You want to ask him something raw and terrible. Have I killed you before? But instead, you say, what happens now? We wait for the next sign. They come in 3s. Of course they do. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a folded piece of parchment. I was going to give this to you earlier, but, well, fire happened. You open it. It's a sketch. Crude, but careful. A woman in a gown, sitting beneath a peach tree. Her face is yours. She's holding the same dagger. Her mouth is open like she's speaking, but the caption is missing. This was in the manor archives, dated 70 years ago. That's impossible. Not here. You trace the edge of the drawing. Your dress in the sketch has the same crescent pattern as the one you wore tonight. The stars are stitched into the hem. I don't understand, you whisper. Neither do I, but I think the answer is buried under that tree. The wind rises, and in it, you hear a voice like gravel and roses. It always starts with forgetting and ends with the knife. That night, the manor is quiet. Too quiet. Even the wind seems to have gone still. You wander the halls, dagger at your side, as though sleep might find you on foot. And then you hear something. A whisper. Faint. Female. You follow it through the east wing where the wallpaper peels in graceful curls and the candle sconces are rusted with memory. The voice draws you to a narrow door tucked behind a velvet curtain. A servant's stair. You descend. The air grows cooler. And then a door. Oak. Carved. Locked. But your hand fits the iron latch perfectly. It swings open, and you step into a room lined with mirrors. Not just any mirrors. All of them are you. Different dresses, different centuries, different expressions. One is laughing. One is blood-soaked. One is pregnant. One is burning. They all stare back at you. Except one. One reflection turns away from you. And that's when you know one of these isn't a reflection. It's her. You. The version that made the wrong choice.
Winter returns like a familiar friend, not a threat. The kind of cold that nips playfully at your nose, but leaves your heart untouched. The village sends baskets of preserves and knitted mittens. Alaric insists on building the snow fort again, this time with towers. You help, under protest, while secretly enjoying every second. Reginald hibernates under a velvet blanket in the pantry. He snores loudly. You teach 3 local children how to enchant mittens so they never get lost. Their mother brings you spiced wine and thanks you in the way people do when they don't know how else to say, "You matter to us." And then one morning, you wake to the scent of something warm. Not cinnamon, not wood smoke, but something older, wiser. Change. There's a knock at the door. You open it to find an envelope resting on the step. No messenger, no trace of who left it, just your name written in familiar, looping ink. Inside, a map, drawn in your own hand, but not by you. At least, not this you. The path it shows is impossible, through lakes that don't freeze, over hills that no longer exist. It ends at a mark labeled only, "Here lies the truth." Alaric peers over your shoulder and says, "Well, that's suspicious." You nod. Extremely. So, of course, you pack a bag. The journey takes you through fogged moors and over frost-bitten streams. You camp under stars so close, you swear you can hear them whispering. And on the 7th day, just as your boots grow weary and your heart begins to doubt, you find it. A tree. Blooming in winter. Its blossoms shimmer like memories. At its base, a single book rests. Leather-bound, heavy. You open it. It's your life. Every life.
every version of you. Princess, warrior, fugitive, queen. Every kiss, every betrayal, every time you died, and every time you chose not to. And on the last page, one sentence. This time, you stayed. You don't cry, but your chest feels tender, new, like a wound that's healing beautifully. You close the book, press a kiss to its cover, and leave it there for the next girl who wonders if her story matters. Back at the manor, Alaric wraps you in a blanket and doesn't ask questions. You drink tea, read poetry, feed Reginald's grandchildren. You spend one entire day in bed just watching snowfall outside the window, arms tangled, feet warm. And you realize you haven't just rewritten your story. You've rebuilt the world inside yourself. Not for anyone else, but for you. There are still questions. Of course there are. Where the door really led, why you came back, what it all meant. But those answers, you're no longer chasing them. Because some stories aren't puzzles to be solved. They're lullabies to be held, to be hummed softly as you fall asleep in the arms of someone who sees every version of you and still says, stay. One evening, Alaric pulls you close and says, if you had to do it all again, would you? You pause, then answer, only if I knew it would lead to this. He smiles. And that smile, that's your epilogue, your promise, your peace. The morning arrives slow and gold, like it knows you've earned something softer. You wake to sunlight pooling across the floor and the sound of distant bells, 3 gentle chimes from the village chapel below, marking the day as something sacred. Maybe it is. Alaric is still asleep beside you, one hand resting on his chest, the other curled loosely near your pillow. He sleeps like someone who hasn't known peace in years, decades even. You stay there a moment longer, watching the light move across his jaw, his lashes, the curve of his brow. It feels like looking at a painting that finally dried after centuries of smearing. You wonder how many lives you spent chasing the wrong kind of forever. And now? You're not chasing anything. You've already arrived. Downstairs, the kitchen smells like cinnamon and bread, and that strange mossy tea Bryn insists balances your star threads. You find her humming at the hearth again, this time feeding a small fire with what looks suspiciously like handwritten love letters. Good morning, sweetness. Or should I say, reborn lady of looping tragedies now resolved with decent romance and functional communication skills. You raise an eyebrow. Bit long for a title. Oh, hush. I've seen longer. There was once a baroness named Philomena of the endless sighing rain clouds. Tragic girl. Excellent cheekbones. You laugh. It feels good. Normal. Like it belongs. Bryn hands you a chipped cup of her questionable tea. It's time for the clearing, she says. You blink. I thought we already did all the rituals. She shakes her head. That was for remembering. This is for letting go. The clearing is done at the boundary of the estate, just where the wildflowers overtake the stone wall and the wind carries the scent of new rain. It's the place you once tried to run from this story, back in the life where you were just the baker's daughter who fell in love with a prince. You didn't make it past the river that time.
You hold a bundle of objects now, small tokens from your past selves. A broken sword hilt, a faded handkerchief, the ring from the silent engagement, the music box with the wrong melody, even the feather from the phoenix you once failed to save. One by one, you place them in the stream. They drift away. Not buried, not destroyed, just released. Bryn watches in silence. When you're done, she says, "That was a superstition in the region of Eldwife. They believed memories could weigh down a soul, keep it from floating to its next life. So they sent them downriver. Said it helped the heart stay light. Do you believe it? I believe it helped them." That evening, you find Alaric in the stables, brushing down the roan mare with the white blaze. The one he swore he wouldn't get attached to, the one who now eats apples out of his palm like they're best friends. He looks up when he sees you, and something warm flickers in his eyes, something unguarded. You lean against the stall, watching him. You lean against the stall, watching him. "We're different now," you say. He nods. "You especially. I remember so many versions of us. I remember one, but it was enough." "Only one?" "The one where you died for me." Your chest tightens. "I don't want to keep dying for people. Not when I could just live with them." He steps closer, brushing a piece of straw from your shoulder. "Then live with me." It's not a proposal. It's not a declaration. It's just true. That night, there's a gathering in the orchard. Not a feast, nothing grand or glittering, just a table, some candles, bread still warm from the oven, cheese wrapped in cloth, and wine poured without ceremony. You sit across from Alaric, next to Bryn, who brought her hedgehog, now wearing a tiny crown, and the old groundskeeper who remembers you from your childhood self. At least, he thinks he does. You're not about to correct him. Laughter curls into the night air. The stars blink down like sleepy witnesses. Someone plays a violin, slow and aching. And there, beneath the peach tree that never should have bloomed again, you feel the loop finally close. Not as a trap, as a circle, a ring, a vow you made not to another person, but to yourself. No more unfinished endings. Later, when the others are gone, you and Alaric lie in the grass. He points up at the stars. "There, that one's called the Crossed Lovers." You squint. "Looks more like a lopsided goat." "Not everything is what it looks like," he says with a grin. You elbow him lightly. "Tell me something true." He rolls onto his side, propping his head on his arm. "You once told me you were afraid to be loved. Not because you didn't want it, but because you didn't think you'd survive it." You look at him. And now I think you might be finally brave enough to let it happen." Silence stretches. Not heavy, just full. Then you say it. "I want to love you without dying at the end." And he replies, so softly, "Then we'll write that story." Somewhere, in a different timeline, maybe Guinevere still swings a sword. Maybe she wears a crown. Maybe she burns kingdoms to the ground for vengeance or hope. But this version, she puts down the blade. She takes off the mask, and she reaches out a hand to the one who waited. Not to save her, not to cage her, just to stand beside her and begin.